Snapdragon is a family of mobile systems on a chip by Qualcomm. Qualcomm considers Snapdragon a platform for use in smartphones, tablets, and smartbook devices. The original Snapdragon CPU, dubbed Scorpion, is Qualcomm's own design. It has many features similar to those of the ARM Cortex-A8 core, and it is based on the ARM v7 instruction set, but theoretically has much higher performance for multimedia-related SIMD operations. The successor to Scorpion, found in S4 Snapdragon SoCs, is named Krait and has many similarities with the ARM Cortex-A15 CPU and is also based on the ARM v7 instruction set. The majority of Snapdragon processors contain the circuitry to decode high-definition video resolution at 720p or 1080p depending on the Snapdragon chip. Adreno, the company's proprietary GPU series, integrated into Snapdragon chips, is Qualcomm's own design, using assets the company acquired from AMD. The Adreno 225 GPU and Snapdragon S4 SoCs add support for DirectX 9/Shader Model 3.0, which makes it compatible with Microsoft's Windows 8. All Snapdragons feature one or more DSPs called Hexagon, short QDSP5 or QDSP6 in the modem and multimedia parts. In the Snapdragon 200 to 800 series, one of the multimedia hexagons is programmable by the users through the Hexagon SDK. The multimedia hexagons are mostly used for audio encoding-decoding. The newer Snapdragons have a hardware block called Venus for video encoding-decoding. Compared to system-on-chips from many competitors, Snapdragon SoCs have been unique in that they have had the modem for cellular communication on die. That is, they do not require a separate external cellular modem on the PCB. Since Snapdragon S4, the majority of S4 SoCs also features on-die Wi-Fi, GPS, GLONASS and Bluetooth basebands. This integration reduces the complexity and cost of the final design for the OEM. It also has the advantage of benefiting from advances in the manufacturing process, for example 28 nm in most S4 SoCs, thus providing modems and other dedicated circuitry with lower power characteristics than external chips manufactured with older processors. History: in fourth quarter of 2008, the first chips in the Snapdragon family, the QSD8650 and the QSD8250, were made available. On June 1, 2010, Qualcomm announced sampling of the MSM8X60 series of Snapdragon SoCs. On November 17, 2010, Qualcomm announces the roadmap for next-gen Snapdragon SoC development, including the MSM8960, citing future improvements in CPU and GPU performance and lower power consumption. On January 5, 2011, a version of Microsoft Windows 7 compiled for ARM was shown running on the Snapdragon SoC at the 2011 Consumer Electronics Show. On August 3, 2011, Qualcomm announced a plan to use simple names for Snapdragon processors so that the public can better understand the products. The higher the number, the newer generation of SoC it is. On January 7, 2013, Qualcomm announced new names and tiers for the 2013 line of Snapdragon SoCs, Snapdragon 200, 400, 600 and 800. The model tiers can easiest be described as equivalent to the Play, Plus, Pro and Prime tiers of the S4 generation of SoCs. Snapdragon S1, Snapdragon S2, Snapdragon S3, Snapdragon S4, Snapdragon 200 series, Snapdragon 200, Snapdragon 400 series, Snapdragon 400, Snapdragon 410. The Snapdragon 410 system on a chip was announced on 9 December 2013. It is Qualcomm's first 64-bit mobile system on a chip. It also has multi-mode 4G LTE, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, NFC, GPS, GLONASS and BIDO capabilities, and contains the Adreno 306 GPU. It is capable of supporting a 1080p screen and a 13-megapixel camera. Snapdragon 600 series, Snapdragon 600, display controller, MDP4. 2 RGB planes, 2 VIG planes, 1080p, CPU instruction set, ARM v7, Snapdragon 602A. The Snapdragon 602A processor was announced on 6 January 2014, it is Qualcomm's solution to car industry. Snapdragon 610. The Snapdragon 610 was announced on February 24, 2014, hardware HEVC 265 decode acceleration. Snapdragon 615. The Snapdragon 615 was announced on February 24, 2014, it is Qualcomm's first octa-core SoC. Hardware HEVC 265 decode acceleration. Snapdragon 800 series, a Snapdragon 802 chip, 8092, was previously announced by Qualcomm to be part of the series, but then Qualcomm declared they are not going to release the chip to market. Snapdragon 800, 4KB plus 4KB LO cache, 16KB plus 16KB L1 cache and 2KB L2 cache, 4K, 2K UHD video capture and playback, up to 21 megapixel, stereoscopic 3D dual image signal processor, USB 2.0 and 3.0, display controller, MDP5, 2 RGB, 2 VIG, 2 DMA, 4K. There are free Linux drivers. Qualcomm's Adreno GPU. There are free Linux drivers for the Qualcomm Aferis WNICs. LLVM supports the Qualcomm Hexagon DSP. Snapdragon 801. The Snapdragon 801 was announced on February 24, 2014. It designed to be a higher clocked variant of the Snapdragon 800. It also adds eMMC 5.0 support, allowing transfer rates of up to 400 MB per second. Snapdragon 805, notable features, quad-core Krait 450 CPU at up to 2.7 GHz per core, ARM v7A, 16KB/16KB L1 cache per core, 2KB L2 cache, 4K UHD video upscale and play, dual camera image signal processor supporting up to 55 megapixel, stereoscopic 3D, Adreno 420 GPU, LPDDR3 25.6 GB per second memory bandwidth, is at Gen 8 BGNSS location technology, USB 2.0 and 3.0, Hexagon, QDSP6. V5A, 600 MHz, eMMC v5.0, UFS v2.0, BT 4.0, 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, 28 nm/HPM, Snapdragon 808. The Snapdragon 808 is Qualcomm's first hexa-core SoC. Notable features include ARM v8A, H265/HEVC decoding, eMMC 5.0 support, 12-bit dual ISP, Snapdragon 810. Notable features include ARM v8A, H265/HEVC encoding decoding, eMMC 5.0 support, 14-bit dual ISP, support for triple band and IEEE 802.11 AD. Qualcomm acquired Wirelessity. Similar platforms are Car by Renesas, Tegra by NVIDIA, OMAP by Texas Instruments, Exynos by Samsung, AX by Apple, Novathor by Street Ericsson, Atom by Intel, MX by Freescale Semiconductor, RK3XXX by Rockip, A31 by Allwinner, MTXXXX by MediaTek, VideoCore by Broadcom, K3VX Kirin by HiSilicon, Octron by Cavium. See also, Smartbook, a netbook-like class of devices, first models of which are powered by Snapdragon, PXA by Marvell, Shmobile by Renesas, Nomadic by Street Ericsson, Zlabs ZMS series, Snapdragon Stadium, temporary name used for Qualcomm Stadium in December 2011, references. External links, Snapdragon chip product page, features of Snapdragon S4 processors.